quiet on the set? Can we please have quiet on the set?
It stinks.
And we are back on It Stinks podcast right here. We just covered Big Brother 26. We gave you a breakdown of the final four who are left in the house. And the road to victory, if your final three, final two, the road to victory to get to that chair to win that $750,000. We just gave you the keys to victory right there and the clues of what Mackenzie, Chelsea, Rabina, and Cam would have to do to win it. Now, we gave it in the key if it was Chelsea, Rabina, Chelsea, Mackenzie. Once again, like I said, I would pick Cam to be my one. Did I take the final three if I'm Mackenzie? Which she will be making that vote tonight to cast her vote for eviction, who she wants out. Well, we got some sad news on It Stinks, and we got some good news. We'll give you the sad news first. Just found out today, arguably on Monday when the news dropped, but it pretty much went valid today. It dropped on social media on Monday, but it's valid today. That my favorite Halloween show in the month of October that spills over into November is not coming back for a season 4. That is Chucky. If you did not get a chance to see the Chucky series on USA, you did yourself an injustice. It was great. Chucky was funny, and it was pretty much a whole new storyline of Chucky. You know, we know Chucky to be this killer doll that torments Andy. They brought all the old characters back from every Child's Play 1, 2, 3, The Bride of Chucky, The Seasons of Chucky. Everything that dealt with the Chucky franchise was in this TV series. Had Tiffany, had the kids, had Chucky's 2 kids, had Chucky and Tiffany jump back and forth from person to doll to person. Great show. Very good show. Hate that it's not coming back. I really hate it's not coming back. One of those shows that I wish didn't get canceled because I was a big fan of during Halloween. But we lost Chucky on the sad end. But thanks to Disney Plus, the MCU, Marvel Universe, we lost Chucky, but we got Agatha all along. If you have not went and watched Agatha All Alone, I encourage you right now on the Extincts to hit that pause button. Go watch episode 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're not going to spoil 5. We'll talk about 5 next week on the Extincts. It dropped yesterday, so we'll talk about it on next week's episode. But go back and watch it. Then come back, hit play, and pick right up right here on the Extincts as we talk about Agatha All Alone. Well, of course, everybody knows who Agatha Harkness is in the MCU Marvel Universe. Of course, if you're like me, you grew up in the 80s and the 90s, telling my age right here on the Extincts. We had all these great things. Good Friday night family TV, Saturday morning, Saturday night wrestling, and of course, if we weren't watching Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, Family Matters, Step by Step, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Full House, all on TGIF. We were, or Sister on TGIF. A lot of people forget about Sister on TGIF. Boy Meets World on TGIF. Forgot about it. That was one of my favorite shows, Corey and Topanga. If we weren't watching that, we were reading our comics. We had comics. Back then, you could go to your mall, and in that corner section of the mall was a hobby craft store or a comic book store that you could go buy the latest editions of all your Marvel and DC comics. Never was a DC guy. Yeah, I watched the DC movies now on TV, but wasn't big into the Superman. You know, I like the Joker. He was my guy. He was my guy in the comics. I like Batman because Batman had all the cool gadgets. But I was more the Marvel guy, you know, X-Men, Fantastic Four, Scarlet Witch, the Avengers, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, the Black Panther. You know, more of those, you know, more of the Marvel stuff. So when I found out after WandaVision, the MCU dropped so many different shows, She-Hulk, Low-Key, I mean, the list goes on. I watched watched every one of them. But when I found out this year that Agatha was getting a show, I said, hold on. This could be good. Because all along in Wanda's vision, Agatha was the one kind of stirring the pot on the side that Wanda didn't know, making Wanda feel like that everything in this vision of Wanda's vision was all here till she finally got out. And as WandaVision ends, we know that Wanda beats Agatha, becomes Scarlet Witch again, finds Agatha in a world. And the funny thing is, when it picks up on episode 1, I said, where are we going? Like, whoa, this is what happened to WandaVision. And I caught myself wanting to go back and watch all of WandaVision again to make sure that I didn't miss nothing. But I said, let me run through the first episode, see what happens. So we start the first episode. Agatha is a detective. That's how they play a knock on low key. Because sometimes Marvel will do that. They'll take an episode to play a knock on another show. They kind of tease you that these two shows can cross over. And all this went into the MCU. You see all the Marvel movies, all the Marvel TV shows. You know, we start thinking, okay, is Agatha going to cross over to Loki? Is Loki going to cross over to Agatha? Is Wanda going to find a way in a movie to cross over with Doctor Strange on it? You start trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. But we find out in episode 1, it was just a dream, a vision. It was a vision that Agatha was trapped, that Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, trapped Agatha in her vision world of where her and Vision lived at in her mind. She trapped her in that world so that Agatha could not get out. Of course, we saw that at the end of WandaVision. But then, like I said, she starts off as a detective. Agatha finally figures out that something's not right. Has a great battle with Rio at the end. And we have a new character introduced, the Team. And the Team was somebody that was in the Marvel comics. So, you know, it was good to see him brought back into this universe of the MCU. He releases Agatha from Wanda's curse of being trapped. So now episode 2, we're right back in where we need to be. We're out of the WandaVision universe. We're right back in reality of the MCU universe. And this is where it gets good because now we're finding out that Agatha has upsetted the Salem 7 witches and they're coming after Agatha. So Agatha has to now, in order to gain back her power, because she really doesn't have her magic like she had, because Wanda took all of that from her when she was a Scarlet Witch. Wanda took all of that from Agatha Harkness. She finds out that she has to walk the witch's road. That's why we said at the beginning of it states we're going to walk the witch's road. She has to walk the witch's road, but in order to walk the witch's road, she has to have a group of witches with her to open up the portal to get to the witch's road. Wouldn't be the MCU universe without having some type of stipulation to get to the stipulation to help you get back what you need. That's why we love the MCU universe. So Agatha goes and recruits some people that we've seen in the Marvel comics. She goes and get Lilia, the Gypsy Witch. She goes and get Jennifer Kell, the Beauty and Successful Witch, the Witch of Beauty and Success. She goes and get Alice Wu Garner, the Fire Witch. All 3 of these women have different professions. Of course, Lilia is a palm reader, Gypsy Witch. Jennifer Kell has a product, a beauty apparel and beauty makeup and beauty other stuff that she sells. That now she's trapped in a lawsuit because they say they're not working. Of course, Jennifer is not even doing that with fire anymore. She's just a police officer, security, is a washed up police officer now, security guard at the mall. Agatha recruits all of these women to open the portal, but she forgets the most important thing. You need a green witch. You got 3 witches. Agatha makes the 4th witch. The 5th witch has to be a green witch. Somebody who does not know nothing about being a witch, has no ties to witchcraft or witchery, of doing spells and potions in the MCU. So Agatha goes against our favorite friend. What a break. She gets our favorite friend, Sharon the Gardener from WandaVision. Sharon was a big recurring role in WandaVision. No speaking parts during that show. You just always seen her out there trimming the bushes, tending to the garden. She goes and gets Sharon, and she doesn't tell Sharon what's going on. She tells Sharon that, hey, we're having a party. We're going to talk about some gardening, girls' night, drink some wine, have a good time, and just, you know, play some cards, and just have a great night, girls' night, ladies' night over at Agatha. They open the portal. During the transition of opening the portal, we see the Salem 7 appear on the street. The teen sees him. He's trying to warn Agatha, then like, we got to get going. They barely escape. Barely escape the Salem 7. Barely escape them. They open up the portal. So they get on the portal, they take off their shoes, and they begin the journey. That's what I like about the MCU, because they can take 3 to 4 episodes and make about the journey to get to where Agatha needs to be able to regain her powers back. We learn so much on the trail that we know that every witch on the trail will be tried by their power. As we said, Lena, the gypsy witch, Jennifer Kell, the witch of beauty, Alice, the witch of fire, Agatha, the witch of darkness and wickedness. We know all this is going to be tried. And the green witch has no power, Sharon. So we get to the first trial. And Agatha, about to say Marvel, and Agatha, well, I'm saying Marvel. Marvel does so good of just referencing back old movies from The Wizard of Oz, from other movies, from what's the movie when He's Alive? All this, they do good with referencing that stuff back. So we see them going down the witches' trail, and they get to the first trial, which is a house on the coast on the beach. Trial number 1, drink the wine. Can they survive? It sounds like an easy one. They go in this house on the beach, and automatically they're transformed into this oceanfront condo on the beach. You can hear the waves cracking, the type of place that only the rich and famous hang out at. It's one of the biggest houses out there. Everybody's having a good time. Looked like it was the house used to film Weekend at Bernie's at right there. Very good. Weekend at Bernie's filmed in North Carolina. Shout out North Carolina. That's what it looks like. Wine appears. The ladies see wine. They're transforming into this, look like the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Well, not Atlanta. The Real Housewives of Potomac Mills. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. The Real Housewives of Martha Vineyard. They look like that, the vineyard up there, Martha's Vineyard of Massachusetts, having a great time, enjoying each other. As they drink the wine, they all hallucinate. And all of them hallucinate visions of what they had. Jennifer vision of being drowned. Alice vision of her mom. Agatha trading her son in for the Book of the Damned or the Book of Darkness to learn more secrets of witchcraft, of being one of the most powerful witches. Sharon, I forgot what Sharon's vision was. And Lena, her vision of, as a gypsy growing up. All of them see visions. The teen does not drink the wine, so he's the only one who's not hallucinating. But he helps them get through it. Jennifer, this is her trial. On Jennifer's trial, she makes the potion to take the wine that has made them drunk and about to kill and poison them to save them. They run right in a matter of time. They're about to run out of time. The house is drowning underwater. They save themselves. They run to go save Sharon. They pour the wine in Sharon, the potion in Sharon. They jump through the oven door of the beach house, back on the witch's trail, right back in the middle of the trail. And we end the show and find out that Sharon did not make it. So leaving that episode, I said, did Sharon not make it when she was immortal? Did the potion not work on when she was immortal? We don't know. But Agatha, as we open up the next episode, Agatha pretty much goes back to being Agatha. One thing about Agatha is Marvel does good of, she's the person you're not supposed to like. She's the wickedness and darkness witch. But she's the main character of the show, so you grow into liking her. You start to say, I like Agatha. Maybe there is goodness in Agatha. Maybe she is the good witch of the West. Maybe she's like Glinda from the Wizard of Oz, the good witch of the West, and not the wicked witch of the good witch of the West, and not the wicked witch of the East, like on the Wizard of Oz. That's what you start to say, but she shows everybody she's still wicked. And to jump back before we talk about this, Jennifer tells Teen, don't trust Agatha. She traded her own son in for the Book of the Damned. Very powerful moment when she told him that. He still trusts her. But back to this scene. Agatha's ready to press on. She says, hey, let's press on. Hey, Sharon didn't make it, so be it. We got to get down this trail. We got bigger things to do, bigger fish to fry. But the other witches in the team says, no, she needs a proper burial. So they do the proper burial for Sharon, which was the right thing to do. They bury her on the trail. And then Agatha realizes when they say in the covenant, you cannot complete the task of the witch's trial unless you have a green witch. You have to have all 5 witches. They got 4. They need 1. So they do a spell to summon a green witch. Who do they get? They get Agatha's, who we find out in this episode, former lover, Rio. And that's one thing about Disney. You know, they're not afraid to break boundaries. They're not afraid to step on toes. I commend them for that. Because a lot of shows, you don't see these shows where they will break boundaries and push the envelope. So they already tell you that Agatha and Rio, 2 ladies, were lovers in this show. You know, shout out to Disney for doing that. Big shout out to Disney on that. But they bring in Rio, who Agatha did not want. She's out of anybody in the world. You could have brought as a green witch. You could have sent me anybody, not this person. Rio's here. Rio does a shout out to the movie. They say he's alive, and the hand just goes about the ground. She does that coming up. She does the Thriller pop lock from the movie, from the song Thriller, as she walks. Real cool segment right there. Tell you Disney, MCU, Disney always find a way to play back on other things to make you just think. They begin the journey. So now they get to trial number 2, which I call trial by fire. And when I looked at the door, it was a half moon and flame and like a blaze around it. I said, this is going to be Alice's trial because she's the fire witch. They get into this recording studio back in the 70s. Everybody's in like funky 70s retroactive clothes. Agatha looking like Cher, getting ready to go sing. She's a dancing queen. Jennifer looking like a hippie, long flower dress on, flowers around her head. Alice looking like a punk rocker in the 70s, looking like she's ready to go on tour with Kiss and them. Lena looking like a lost gypsy queen in the 70s. So real good costumes right here on Disney. The teen looking like a version of Ike Turner from Ike and Tina. That's who Lena and the teen look like, Ike and Tina Turner back in the 70s. So shout out to them for doing that. Great turnaround on that. As they go through this course, they find out that Agatha hits the microphone in the studio so the other witches can hear, and they know not to trust the green witch, Rio. Rio says, when we complete the witch's trail, let's kill all the other witches and gain all the power. And I was shocked Agatha done that, because I really thought Agatha was going to be like, oh yeah, that's the play. That's the play. That's what we're going to do. So to turn the other witches and let them hear that lets me know that Agatha now is starting to become who's going to be the hero of the show. And Rio's going to now be the villain of the show going on in episode 5, 6, 7, and 8. They go through this, and they cannot, and as they go through this recording studio, all around still there's pictures of witches being killed, whether it was drowning, hanging, crucifixion, by fire, everything. And you know, back in the days during the Salem witch trials, humans who accused women of witchcraft of being witches, they would try to throw them in the water. And they said if they could swim, that means she's a witch. They didn't know that if you throw something in the water, either you're going to sink or float. One or two. Either you're going to sink or float. So they show all these pictures of the Salem witchcraft trials and how they killed witches back during those time frame. And now the test comes. The building's catching on fire. There's a demon dragon in the building. Alice is the only one that can see it. Alice knows this is her trial and knows the only way to defeat the demon dragon is to sing the witch's ballad, as her mother, who died on the witch's trail, was known as a professional singer, did. She beats that, and I feel like she put closure to her mom's death. Because throughout the past 3-4 episodes, we always reference her mother who has passed, a former witch that died on the witch's trail. She was able to conquer that and save her friends and get out of the house. And right now, we lost nobody. Everybody made it. So we got Agatha. Well, the team didn't make it. he got stabbed. Jennifer was able to do a spell to get him healed. And that's when we really saw Agatha have an emotional moment. Because Agatha hadn't had one when she said, "You better save him. You got to save him." So she's really, even though she knows when Rio told her that the teen is not her son, she had a very emotional moment. And it makes you feel like, are we going to find out that Rio was lying and that the teen really is her son? Or is they going to have a connection where she said, "I gave my son up for the Book of the Damned, so now I'm looking at you as a son." Very good episode of Agatha all along. Encourage everybody to go out and watch it. Great show right there on Marvel. Stay tuned. It's time to go to Chicago next. And we are back right here for the final phase of It Stinks. And the good thing about this one is it's time to talk Chicago. So many great shows have come on. Chicago. FBI has not started yet. They're probably going to kick off another week or two over there on CBS. But you had Abbott Elementary, Dr. Odyssey. Watched all 3 episodes of Dr. Odyssey. Definitely check that out. 911 on a Friday night now. 911 used to be on Monday nights. On a Friday night, taking over the time slot that SmackDown had on Fox. So now 911 on Friday nights. Definitely check it out. The first 2 episodes with the bees were great. Can't wait for the 3rd one to drop this week. But on a Wednesday night, we can go to Chicago. When it's cold outside, we got Chicago. What a great season of Chicago to start off right here on the first 2 episodes. Not going to cover the one from last night. We'll definitely be covering that one next week. So they'll give everybody a chance to catch up. So next week we can do 3 and 4 and get on track. But with Chicago, we always have people leave. Dr. Will left 2 seasons ago. One of my favorite actors on Chicago was Will. I really enjoyed him. And we were down to 4 originals. Will, Miss Goodwin, Lord, I can't call her name, Nadine, and Dr. Crockett. Those were the 4 originals. Now we're down to Miss Goodwin, Nadine, and that's it. And Dr. Charles were 5. Those are 5 originals from the original show. Now we're just down to Nadine, Miss Goodwin, Dr. Charles, with Crockett leaving. They did set up where Crockett could come back on the season finale last season. So if contract disputes work out, I think he wanted more money and he wanted time off. So it kind of works out good. You can phase him out, bring him back in for the mid-season finale, bring him back in for the second start of the season of this season after the mid-season finale when they're off about for 2-3 weeks. But we did get introduced to some new doctors in Gaffney. First one is Dr. Frost. Dr. Frost is coming from the neighboring hospital next door. Well, not next door, a couple blocks over. That hospital is shutting down for budget restraints. Please, the key word for Chicago Meds this entire season, for the first season to the mid-season finale, will be budget restraints. Ms. Goodwin talked about it 3 times on both of these episodes. Budget restraints, having to cut things in the budget, had to find ways to cut the budget. Remember, Gaffney has gone under because they invested all that money into the programming with the investor who bought the hospital, then pulled out from buying the hospital. So now they're stuck trying to recoup all their losses they got from having a private investor come and privatize a public hospital. So you're going to be hearing budget restraints throughout this entire first run to the mid-season finale. We also got Dr. Caitlin Lennox. Dr. Lennox now is the new chief of the Emergency Department of Medical Services. Hold on. That position was held by Dr. Archer. In the first episode, the first minute, Miss Goodwin bumps right in. Dr. Archer says, "I need a moment of your time." Dr. Archer says, "Not right now. Can we get together later on, Sharon?" I knew then something was getting ready to go down. Didn't see this coming, but I knew something was going to go down. So they still got a lot of back-end stories going on from the final season. The last season, we saw Crockett leave. With Crockett pretty much left because of the investor and all that stuff, and he kind of pushed himself to wanting to do more on the technology side and have to find his way back to his original roots of medical practice. So we saw that. We know that Dr. Ripley is in the middle of a lawsuit with Pavo, who is Dr. Charles' ex-girlfriend. We find out in the first episode they're no longer together. They have broke up. His ex-girlfriend's brother, who is a con man, was beat up. And he said that Dr. Ripley was the one that beat him up. Well, we find out in the first and second episode that Dr. Ripley did not beat him up. Dr. Ripley's best friend, who he just mended the friendship over with, who just had a baby, so he has a newborn, suffering from some type of chronic illness, was the one who beat up Pablo. He found out that this guy, that Pablo was suing Dr. Ripley for malpractice, because you got to remember that last episode, the last two episodes leading up to the season, well, the episode leading up to the season finale, Pablo was sick. His sister rushed him to Dr. Charles. Dr. Charles said, let me give you one of the best doctors in Gaffney to service you. Pablo sues Dr. Ripley now for malpractice, say that he hurt him, that he did damage to him and he can't work. So when Dr. Ripley's friend finds that out, he goes and rough Pablo up. I was like, man, what type of friend? TLC said the best. What about your friends when they stand their ground, when they hold you down, when they let you down, when they be around, when they hold you down? TLC said the best. What about your friends? So his friend held him down when he beat the guy up. We don't condone that on his teams, but that's what he done. So Dr. Ripley, knowing that not only his friend just had a newborn baby, but suffered from a chronic illness, he knows that this guy goes to jail. It's probably not a good chance he's coming home. Probably a good chance that he could pass in prison. So he's doing what he has to do as a friend to take the rap for it. Now, as we move over into more of season 12, episode 2, we find out in the second episode that Dr. Ripley finally confides to Hannah. He's been shut down with Hannah. Hannah Archer been wanting to know what's going on. He's been shut down with Hannah. He finally tells Hannah, hey, this is what's going on. I did not beat up Pablo. My friend beat up Pablo. I'm taking the blame because I could lose everything. And gotta remember, in the middle of this episode 2, Dr. Ripley goes through a rigorous examination from the board of directors and his peers. Dr. Charles recused himself due to the familiar interpersonal relationship they have from being a former old client of Dr. Charles when he was a child, and the friendship they have bonded over since they worked through all of that to get where they're at now. He confides in Hannah that he did not beat up Pablo, that his friend did. Hannah goes and tells Miss Goodwin. And the show blacks out right there. We do see that his friend does get locked up. They do put the cuffs on him. We don't know if it's because Hannah told Miss Goodwin and they're acting on it, or if he does something else. We'll find that out, which we did find out on last night's episode. So we'll be talking about that on next week's episode. But to start off season, episode 1 of Chicago Med, hey, they hit it with a bang. They start off both 2 episodes hot, right out of fire. Picked up from last season's storylines, introduced new storylines, introduced new characters. That's what you want. That's why Chicago has been so successful on Wednesday nights of getting good ratings on all 3 shows, because they found a way to keep going. Just like Grey's Anatomy. Watch Grey's Anatomy. It was a good show. Won't do Grey's Anatomy this week. We'll catch that maybe next week. So we jump over to Chicago Fire. Boy, was Fire good. Boy, Fire was good this week. The only regret I have on Fire, and please drop these comments in the comment box right here if you're a Chicago fan like me, is that Stella Kid is still on the show. I thought over the off season that Stella Kid, they would come back on episode 1, they would say, oh man, sad news, open up with the funeral scene. We see Stella Kid's picture on the trestle board, holding on the trestle board, holding up. We see it up there. We see her picture. We see the ring. We see the 21 gun salute. We see the firefighters fold the flag. We hear the last rites played by the trumpet player, well, final taps by the trumpet player, and Stella was killed in the line of duty. Man, that would have made my day. But unfortunately, we don't. If you don't know, love the actor. The actress is a very great actress. Very good. She's one of the best. Been on several shows. Can name all of HBO. She was on The Game. several shows. Don't like the character Stella, just don't like the Stella character. Wish they would just go ahead and write her off. But she's back. Severide's back. And Chicago Fire jumped right into episode 1 and 2, introducing the new characters, telling us the backend story of where the old characters are at, and getting us ready to let us know what we need to look for the next 2 to 3 months before we get that mid-season finale before they come back in January. So, Chief Bowden has left as a full-time star on this show. Chief Wallace Bowden now will be a recurring actor, so you'll probably see him sporadically out the season making guest cameo appearances. He's going to be on a recurring role now. Big hurt to the franchise. Thought Bowden was probably one of the best actors on this show, so losing him down to a recurring role could damper Fire this season. Didn't do a lot of action, but the scenes he were in, he commanded those scenes and kept your eyes on him. So big shoes to fill in right up for that role. Matt Casey and Selby Brett, they got the send-off we've been wanting as Fire fans. They did the wedding last year. Both of them came back. Their contracts did run out. Matt Casey pretty much ran the course. His character supposed to have been died off after hundreds of episodes. They decided to keep him because he became the fan favorite. Everybody liked Casey on Fire. Wish they would bring Casey back. Bringing Selby Brett back would be great. Both of them would truly be missed on the show, but they gave us the big send-off. That was the one thing we were worried about. Casey left to go to Seattle to take care of his best friend's 2 kids who was in the CFD that went to Seattle FD. He took care of the kids. He gets back with Selby. Selby leaves the CFD to go work for the SFD up there with Casey. And hey, Dick Wolf, if you somehow find this show on the Boom Broadcasting, it's not 911. Seattle Fire is now been canceled, which some of the actors from Seattle Fire made guest appearances on Grey's Anatomy. So good job, Grey's Anatomy. I really wanted to see that Seattle Fire is still kind of portraying the back end stories. We may not get a show, but you can get back end stories that you can keep on your Grey's Anatomy. So they did good, especially with Warren showing up. But Dick Wolf, if you're listening to this, you can start a Seattle Fire Department show with Casey and Selby Brett, and build something with that. Hey, that's a plug. If you do it, you owe me something, Dick Wolf. But they introduced new characters. Chief Dom Pascal. No nonsense guy. Was in the CFD. Left the CFD to go to the Miami FD. Find out he does have wife problems at home. Him and his wife are working through some problems, like any typical marriage on any given place on this earth. So we find that out. We also got a little more introduction. We knew about him last year. We found out that he was Severide's little brother, Jack Damien. We found that out. But we got more back in history. So this season right here, the main 2 characters we need to watch is our new chief, Chief Pascal, and Jack Damien, Severide's brother. We pick up in episode 1. Herman was the heir appointed to be the next chief of 51. That's what Bowden wanted. Bowden told Herman what he needed to do. Coming back this season, we really thought, opening up, you were going to see Herman walk in, walk through that fire department, walk through the kitchen, holler at Ritter, holler at Mouch, holler at Captain Tony, keep walking, wave at Severide, wave at Kid, past the lieutenant's office and the captain's office, open up that door, and when they shut that door, you see Chief Christopher Herman. And wrong answer. Herman skipped the Chief's test. And Mouse really bagged on both of these episodes. Why are you doing it? You could be doing just as good a job as this new guy they hired from Miami who used to work with the CFD. You could be doing better. You know, Bowden gave you the green light. You were the heir appointment to the throne of the next chief, and you just didn't take the test. And we find out that Herman's been putting off taking the test because Herman's doing some other stuff. Now, Herman and Chief Pascal are building a good bond. And when we open up, Chief Pascal has a meeting with Herman and tells Herman, hey, I know you were the heir appointed for the seat, but there's no hard feelings between me and you. We're going to have to make this work. Herman says he can make it work. True professional in his craft. So, we find that out. We find out that Jack Damien really wants to be more and more like his brother Severide. And if anybody's been watching Chicago Fire, Severite's the hero. He's the person we watch on Fire. Him and Case were the go-to guys. Whenever there was a big problem, they were the problem solvers. That's what Jack Damien wants to aspire to be like his brother. But the thing is, Joe, that's on Squad, is catching on. Joe's paying attention to when you bring up Damien's name around Severite, how he gets real agitated, a little uppy, you know. He gets a little irate when you bring something up, especially negative about Damien. And Joe starts putting together, you know, I had a little brother that I had to look out for and save. But I realized, Joe said this in episode 2, I realized I couldn't save him. I had to let him find his own path. And we also find out in episode 2 that Damien skips rank, does not listen to Kid, and goes out to make a save. And Kid is wondering, like, why does this guy really want to hang around Severite? Because, you know, Severite and Kid are married. Severite has not told Kid that that's his little brother. If you piggyback to the first episode, the new chief drops a new policy saying fraternizing in the workplace. Married couples cannot work in the same house. They got to be in a different house. But Kid and Severite have done good being able to keep it professional on the job site that we don't have to have y'all separate. But they're going to double back on that. It's coming back. So Kid allows Damien, I'm going to call Dave, I can't do Jack Damien, allows Damien to go work out with Squad that day as a reward. She said, I can tell he wants to be in Squad. He looks up to you, Severite. Every time I look, he's under your learning tree, talking to you, asking questions. I'm just going to give him what he wants. A day with Squad, to practice with y'all, run some drills with y'all, all of this. So they team up with Joe. Captain Tony wiped the floor with him in the drills. He tells Joe he'll do better. Joe kind of hammers on him and said, I could do better if I didn't have this guy with me. Severite gets a little attitude about that. Joe puts it all together. There's more than just a kid that looks up to me that joined the CFD. This is somebody now that's got close relationships with Severite. So as they move on into the episode, Severite finally comes clean. He tells Damien, Joe comes to him, and that's how he comes clean. Joe says, once again, I said earlier, I had a little brother, just like you, Kelly. That's how I put it together. You cannot save him. You're going to have to let him go on his own. Yeah, I know you just found out, but you're going to have to let him go on his own. He asked, have you told Kid? He said, no, I haven't told Kid. Severite that night goes home and tells Kid about his little brother, Damien. Kid, as always, goes off on a tyrant. She gets irate. She's mad that Severite kept this away from her. And we fade to black. Now we got some other love angles going on. You got Carver, who has a new love interest. He's not dating Violet no more because Violet did not want to take it serious with him. So you got that story going on. Herman goes on this great excursion looking for some medical therapeutic eczema lotion that he is giving the guy $100 because to him it rekindles the flame with him and his wife, and lies about it. He spent all this money for this new lotion. Also, you get all the comedy with Fire. But at first, 2 good episodes that were good. And at the end of episode 2, Kelly tells Damien, one of us got to go. He didn't say who. One of us got to go. Us being Fire fans, we don't have Casey no more. They're not taking Severite off this show. Severite right now is the heart with Bowden gone and Herman getting more action scenes, getting more as far as he's got his own storyline he's got to go through this whole season. Severite's not going. I wonder if Damon's going to try to sabotage Severite or try to lie to everybody, telling him and Severite not brothers. So that's what we're going to have to be on the lookout for. Lastly, Chicago PD. PD does good. I'm telling you, they do great. PD does great. Introducing the new characters, introducing the old characters, and taking us on a roller coaster ride for the first 2 episodes. Hank Voight is a wreck. Since being kidnapped by his kidnapper, tortured, found by Haley, who literally dead, he is a nervous wreck. Haley leaving, going to be on FBI. That's the word. We don't know how true it is. Waiting on the first episode of FBI to see if she's up there with the team. If she is, that'll be great. We do know the last episode she looked at the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, and it was one more, and the U.S. Marshals. U.S. Marshals. She looked at those 3 jobs. So and she told Hank she had to get out of Chicago and had to start over. Hank's emotional wreck. He went through a kidnapping. He literally saw death. Haley, his second in command with Jay gone. You know, him and Haley and Roos has been his number 1 and 2 guys. 1 and 2 guys and girls. Haley's gone. You feel like the world's coming down on Hank. He changes his shirt every time he gets back in the office. New shirt. And because the old shirt was filled with so much of his blood from when they left him on the ground to die from the torturing, that's why psychological going on in his mind a lot. So Haley's gone. Jay definitely not coming back. Jay could come back later on in the year, in the season, but I seriously doubt it. I think they're going with a new cast for PD. And that's good with PD because this is the only show where I thought that a good cast has been good. Now, they could bring back some old ones. What's my guy? He played on LeBrie. I can't call his name. Lord, I can't even call his character name on PD. He had a drug problem. They sent him down to Panama for rehab. They could bring him back. And when I get his name, drop in the comment box that character's name. I know exactly who he's on. Look at it right in my face. But they could bring him back. But PD does good. They introduced to Detective Martell. We find out that Detective Martell was a former detective who got hurt in the field. They took her out in the field and put on administrative work. She gets shipped over to intelligence when Haley leaves to kind of help cover intelligence. Her and Adam does a good on the first episode telling the back end story of him and her. I kept saying, she's asked a lot of questions about Adam. Like, you coming in the first episode like you've been doing Adam, like you've been a character for 20 seasons that we've seen reoccurring. You're a brand new character. But Adam tells that back end story on episode 2 of how she was. Of course, if you haven't seen episode 1, here's a spoiler. She gets shot at the end. They shoot her at the end. She gets caught in crossfire. They're leaving a call. They hear gunshots. They go to see what's going on. Snide out the window. Guy shoots her dead in the head. She's gone out of here. Thank you for coming up here, Detective Martell, which I really thought would have been cool to have 2 other girls with Kim Burgess on the intelligence squad. But they do good. They write it off. Kind of like, man, bad send off. But we should know 1099. 1099 and the 10 codes means taking a break, on leave, off duty, out of here. So we should have seen that. But Adam does a good back story. Found out that him and Detective Martell were in the academy together. They graduated the academy together. And they were good friends who always kept in contact, even though we never saw her because she was working in another division in Chicago. So he does good with that. Now we get introduced to our new character who's really taking Haley's spot. So we thought Martell was taking Haley's spot, but here's the character who's really taking Haley's spot. It is Officer Connor Cook, played by Tanya Turner. Say that 3 times fast. Tanya Turner's played in a recurring role on Med. She played an extra in Med, extra on Fire. So she's not, she's new. She's not new. She's not someone new to the Chicago franchise. She's been around in recurring roles or extra roles in the franchise. And I like the way in episode 2 how they introduced her as a police officer, that when shots were fired and Adam was in the line of duty, Martell's dead. She heard the shots, heard the call on the radio, was a block away, came beeline in hot to get in on the case. And they keep her and Adam together the whole episode. And they do good telling the story, introduce us to the new character, knowing that we know this is the person taking Haley's spot. Now, the one thing I did like about PD was this right here. In the old episodes of PD, you saw the patrol officers and the intelligence Hank Voight's team intertwining with each other. As the seasons grew more and more, you saw more of the patrol officers just being extras passing through the hallways. It was more focused on the core of the intelligence squad. Even if they don't bring her over to intelligence right now and keep her in a cop role as a patrol officer, assisting intelligence and working with them, you're going back to the way the show was when it was originally wrote. Because how it really was written. Kim Burgess, how did she get to intelligence? She was a former police officer. Adam Rosette, he was a former patrol officer on the show. both of them were patrol officers before they got moved up to a main character in intelligence. That's where they're trying to go back to. I think we're bringing in Officer Kanaku, bringing her in. I think that's where they're trying to go. Good 2 episodes of PD. I'm telling you, I know the third one last night was fire. We'll be talking about it right here on It States. But Chicago kicks off good. And like I said, this season with so many shows, we don't know where we'll be. We may be on Chicago Wednesday night. We may be talking about Abbott Elementary. We may be talking about 911. We may be talking about LPI, Dr. Odyssey. So much more. We still got Tulsa King we got to talk about. We got From we got to talk about. So this is Shawn. We'll be back to talk about From right here on It States.